products and services we provide by clicking our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome to the WTIM Morning Show. I'm Avery Cooper. Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark, and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm here in studio with NASCA Heartland Greenway Project Representative Jim Prescott. Welcome to the program, Jim.
Good morning, Avery. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Let's update the listeners real quick for those who might not be familiar with the project. What is Heartland Greenway and all the other information to go with
Yeah, we
that?
should never assume that everybody knows what we're talking about.
Right,
here.
no kidding.
So, Heartland Greenway is a carbon capture and storage project, which is a mouthful. It's not a new technology. It's been around for quite some time. The basic, most fundamental way to describe it is carbon dioxide is captured at its source, in this case at ethanol plants throughout the Midwest, liquefied, put in a pipeline, in this case a 1,300-mile pipeline, and delivered to a storage site. Right now the storage site is targeted for Christian County, where it would be injected more than a mile underground. So, like I said, this is not new technology. It's not a new kind of project. As a matter of fact, there's already a project in Macon County, adjacent to the Richland Community College campus, that's been there for the better part of the last 10 years or so. That's been operating safely and efficiently for quite some time. As a matter of fact, they're looking at expanding it. So this is a project that's being proposed by a company out of Texas called Navigator CO2 Ventures. It's been around for about 10 years or so, has developed midstream, as it's called in the industry, infrastructure, pipelines, basically. And because there's so much activity and so much growth and so much commercial demand, which we'll talk about in a minute, for carbon capture and storage, that they're getting into this project as well, to Heartland Greenway, proposed it about a year or so ago. So right now, those are the basics of what the project entails. We're working with the county board here in Christian County, with landowners, with community influencers, and others who have an interest in economic development in Christian County. So we're working hard on answering a lot of questions and a lot of concerns about the project. There's no silver bullet about we're going to have the one answer that's going to satisfy everybody. It's a long process. It takes a lot of work, a lot of hard work, and we're prepared to make that effort. But we've been at it since last fall, and we're at a point now where we're moving forward with the project. And well, like I said, we've got some other announcements that we've made recently that makes the project that much more attractive from a commercial standpoint.
What was that announcement from Navigator?
So Navigator announced last week with a company that some of your listeners may be familiar with, a company called Poet, which is based out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Poet is one of the largest producers of biofuel in the world. And this letter of intent between Navigator and Poet is for Heartland Greenway to provide carbon capture and storage services on Heartland Greenway for Poet. The agreement's going to phase in 18 of Poet's bioprocessing facilities in Iowa, Nebraska, and South Dakota, and that would be scheduled to be operational and in service by 2025.
So why is this so important, and what does it mean for the project?
Well, it means a couple things. It's a significant announcement. It's a significant development from a commercial standpoint for the project. It is a clear indication that there is a substantial amount of demand for not only this project, but you can make the argument that there's a lot of demand for carbon capture in general. But for Heartland Greenway in particular, which is why we're talking this morning, it indicates that the marketplace, in this case Poet, one of the largest biofuel producers in the world, wants access to Heartland Greenway. What that highlights is that it is a smart business decision for Poet and a smart business decision for Navigator. Longer term, it has environmental and business implications that are positive. what a lot of ethanol producers are facing right now are tougher and tougher regulations, environmental regulations. They've got to capture the carbon that the ethanol process, manufacturing process emits to meet those regulations. And if they can't, they may not be in business. So that's why projects like Heartland Greenway are attractive. What it means for Illinois farmers, for Christian County farmers, is it preserves that marketplace for their crops. Because without those, biofuel producers, without those ethanol plants, that would have the potential of eliminating a significant chunk of their marketplace. And from a business standpoint, this announcement is a positive development for farmers in Christian County because it preserves and strengthens that marketplace for farmers. It preserves and strengthens the ability of ethanol producers to maintain that, and if not expand the marketplace, because they can meet environmental regulations.
Here in Christian County, unless there's anything else you want to say about Poet and what the letter of intent from Navigator means, or do we feel like we've already covered that?
I think we've covered it. I mean, it's not to not to belabor the point, but it's a significant announcement, and it's one that sometimes this project can be sort of an abstract concept for folks to understand. And they think it's a new technology. They think this is the newfangled thing, and it's really not. What this does is really bring that, from a commercial standpoint, from a tangible standpoint, makes it that much more real, makes it tangible.
Mm-hmm. Well, here in Christian County, a lot of folks are concerned about the aquifer. There's a campaign going on. There's signs. So how are you addressing those worries?
Well, we certainly have seen them. And a couple of thoughts on that. One is that, obviously, no respectable company like Navigator or a customer like Poet would be involved in a project that's going to damage or diminish a natural asset like an aquifer. Not only that, but you can only imagine the kind of regulations we have to meet, the hoops we have to jump through, the permits we have to get for a project like this to move forward. And it's now, that's not to say that that's not a legitimate concern. We get that. We understand that. A couple of things. One is, I think, and I've seen this in other projects and other things I've been involved in over the years. There's this sort of thought that common misconception that aquifers are these vast underground rivers or lakes. They're really not. They're more like a porous rock that acts like a sponge that's filled with underground water that can then be withdrawn for consumption. So once you understand what an aquifer really is from a geological standpoint, and I know that's probably more science than is necessary for 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning, but that's the reality. And here's the other reality. Here's the other fact. There are thousands of wells in Christian County that already go through the aquifer. You have to put that kind of thing in perspective, and I can provide a little more detail about that. This project is going to deliver carbon dioxide and store it permanently more than a mile underground. The aquifer in Christian County is less than 100 feet to a couple hundred feet deep. So the difference in the layers of geology between the aquifer and where the CO2 will be stored is roughly a mile distance between the two.
Let me reintroduce you here, and then we'll continue our conversation about Christian County and Tenaska Heartland Greenway, and as well as the aquifer and all those concerns that you are addressing here on the WTIM Morning Show. I'm Avery Cooper alongside Project Representative Jim Prescott. Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark, and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. Back after this short break.
WTIM.
St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Over the years, it has meant the Gas House Gang, Stan the Man, Lou Brock, Bob Gibson, Simba headed to the Hall, The Wizard, Big Mac, Yachty, and Wayno. All of those names, and they provided so many memories. St. Louis Cardinals baseball, most importantly, has meant championship baseball. The tradition continues in 2022. We'll be describing every play right here on the radio. St. Louis Cardinals baseball.
Cardinal Baseball, heard on WTIM, your information station. The Big 870 across central Illinois, 96.1 FM in Christian County, 107.5 FM in Shelby County, and 107.9 in the Pena-Nokomis area. It's brought to you by Taylorville Memorial Hospital, Siegert Lee's Insurance, Jennifer Franklin and Brian Keel, the Real Estate Group, and the Christian County YMCA.
Cardinal baseball across central Illinois on the Big 870 WTIM.
While you were sleeping, Senator Steve McClure joined Pritzker and the Democrats and voted for the largest gas tax in Illinois history. Illinois now has the second highest gas tax in the nation, thanks to Steve McClure. When it mattered most, McClure turned his back on you and working families and joined Democrats to raise your taxes. In the race for state Senate, we have a choice. We can elect establishment tax hiker Steve McClure, or we can elect tax fighter, businessman, and Trump supporter Don Diebold. The choice is clear. Don is a true conservative who will oppose tax increases and fight for working families. On June 28th, say no to the status quo and vote for conservative Don Diebold for state senator.
Paid for by DeBolt for Illinois.
Get 4th of July ready. Pick up everything you need for your outdoor fun at Southern Ledge Pools and Patios in Taylorville. They have pools, floats, chemicals and treatment, barbecue essentials, drink and tip mixes, and more. Stop in this month and get 15% off all pool floats and 15% off all syrups. Keep your pool and patio guests entertained all season long with a little help from your summer fun creator, Southern Ledge Pools and Patios in Taylorville. Shop in store Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to noon, and online.
C&B Bank and Trust is helping to open doors for your wealth. Schedule your appointment with Victor Henson by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Not FDIC insured, no bank guarantee, may lose value.
Hi, I'm Bob Raddings of the Bob Raddings family of dealerships. See our huge inventory of about 2,000 vehicles by clicking on our ad at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back to the WTIM Morning Show. I'm Avery Cooper. Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark, and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm here with project representative for Navigators Heartland Greenway project, Jim Prescott. Great to have you here, Jim.
Thank you.
So before we went to break, we talked a little bit about the aquifer and the concerns about that aquifer.
Yeah.
And you told me some interesting information about how there are already thousands of wells going through the aquifer and around the aquifer in Christian County. Could you go into a little bit more detail about that?
Sure, be happy to. And I was a little surprised, quite frankly, when I asked the technical guys, the engineers on the project I asked them a simple question. How many wells go through the aquifer in Christian County today? And they came back and said more than 5,000.
Wow.
Which was a number I did not anticipate. I figured it'd be, a couple hundred or so, but so the exact number is 5,194.
Wow.
Of those more than 5,000 wells, more than 2,000 are water wells.
Okay.
That are drilled into the aquifer, of course.
Right.
But here's the other one. Here's the other stat that was eye-opening for me, that there are nearly 3,000 oil and gas wells in Christian County that go through the aquifer. And those numbers you have to almost pause for a minute and think about that. So there's more than 5,000 wells already in Christian County. 2,000 of those are water wells. Nearly 3,000 of them are oil and gas wells. What we're talking about on the Heartland Greenway is 6 injection wells and 12 monitoring wells. Put that in the context of more than 5,000 wells that already go through the aquifer. And you can understand why. And again, I was a little surprised when I saw those numbers, but it puts it in context about what we're talking about in connection with Heartland Greenway. The other thing to keep in mind is the depth of those existing wells. Most water wells in Christian County have a depth of about 80 feet. The oil and gas wells, the average well is right around 2,000 feet. We're talking about, for the Heartland Greenway injection wells, 6,000 feet. So a significant difference between the two. But most important, a significant amount of space between, and a lot of geology and rock formations in between the injection well at 6,000 feet and an aquifer at 80 to 100 to 150 feet deep.
Well, I think that leads into overall safety. How will this project and Tenaska and Heartland Greenway and Navigator and everyone involved with this project ensure people and property are protected?
Well, let's talk for a moment about the injection wells.
Okay.
The permits that we need for the injection wells, each of those 6 injection wells will need its own permit.
Okay.
And it's a specific class of permits from the U.S. EPA that is one of the toughest hoops to jump through, one of the regulatory permits that's toughest to acquire, to obtain. It's a process that's going to take, anywhere from 18 to 24 months. We haven't even filed those permit applications yet, not only at the state level, but also, at the federal level, but at the state level as well, because we need permits from the state, for example, for the pipeline that connects to the injection wells.
Is that, Department of Natural Resources?
The Illinois Commerce Commission.
Appreciate that.
We'll need an ag mitigation agreement with the Department of Agriculture here in Illinois as well. And there are, and obviously some, we're working with the county in connection with an ordinance on carbon capture and storage projects like this, and we'll need zoning, special use permits. You throw on top of that the several hundred landowners involved, not just in Christian County, but in the 13 counties that we're involved in here in Illinois. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of agreements. And that's why it'll probably take the better part of the next 2 years to go through that entire process of land acquisition and permitting approvals to get to the point where we can start construction. We're not even close. We're 2 years out from doing any sort of construction either on the pipeline or on the injection wells. So we've got a long way to go.
Do you have any developments from the Christian County Board at this time? If not, then we can move on.
Well, the board approved a moratorium on working on a carbon capture and storage ordinance at its meeting in May.
Right.
And we're okay with that in layman's terms because we weren't ready to start construction anyway. So we're going to continue working with landowners and continue trying to answer questions as best we can, respond to concerns that the county board members have, that landowners have, that folks in the community have. So that's those are our priorities right now.
Which leads into what is next for this project?
Well, we've heard loud and clear that people have questions and want more information about the project. I think we knew that pretty quickly when we introduced it and started talking to folks here in Christian County last fall, that this isn't a solar project, this isn't a wind project, this isn't a transmission line project. This is a little different, and different sometimes can bring out a lot of questions, a lot of rumors, a lot of misinformation. So we have got some work to do in that regard. And we're prepared to do it. We want to answer those questions. We want to be a good member of the community, and we want to do that in good faith. So that's where we're at right now. That's primarily what's next as this project moves forward.
Well, I know you're a really busy guy, so I won't keep you too long. But I wanted to give you a chance to make any final points.
Well, I think it always comes back to we want to be accessible and to be as forthcoming as possible, 100% transparent about the project. We know there's a lot of information out there. Not all of it's accurate, but more important, we know there's a lot of questions about the project. So our job is to be able to answer those questions. I would encourage your listeners to go to heartlandgreenway.com. If they have questions about the project, to email us at info@heartlandgreenway.com. heartland.com. We want to answer those questions, and that's the best way we can do that.
That is Project Representative for Navigator Jim Prescott here on the WTIM Morning Show. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day, Jim.
Avery, thank you.
Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark, and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. Thank you for listening to the WTIM Morning Show. Glad to have you along. More on the way in just a moment here on WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville, 96.1 W241 CF Taylorville, 107.5 W298.